Hi, this is Sarah Mikesell with the Pigsty, and today we're here with Erik Visser. He is the CEO at Hamlet Protein, based in Denmark. Thanks for being with us today, Erik.
Thanks for having me.
Very good. And today, Erik and I are in Des Moines, Iowa, in the United States, and we are at World Pork Expo. And it is a beautiful day here, and I know you guys have already had a busy time in the booth this morning as well, with some speakers and people in and out. So it looks like it's going to be a good show today.
We're counting on it. It's always a great place to meet with customers, industry friends, and academics to talk about what we can offer to the industry.
Very good. And is this your first World Expo?
No, I've been here before.
Yeah, been here before. So excellent. We're going to talk a little bit about Hamlet Protein and kind of your role. And we'll start in with some questions. What motivated Hamlet Protein to initiate a life cycle assessment at this time? And what specific questions are you hoping it will answer?
Well, that's a tough question because it's a very broad one, and you only give me a short time to answer. But anyway, sustainability is becoming an increasingly important element in our industry. It's no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. Right. So that's not only from our investor perspective, but also from the market. That vary very much from market to market. Some markets are more advanced in their sustainability thinking and what they in turn demand from a supplier, and others are a bit more in the wait and see. But to accommodate the needs of both our shareholders and that part of the market that is really interested in seeing the environmental impact of what we do, it is then when we launched the initiative to develop our LCA, life cycle assessment. And then we hire an independent agency, Bureau Veritas, to do that for us.
Very good. Excellent. And you said here, what specific questions are you hoping it will answer?
That's quite broad, of course. We really want to look at the entire supply chain from start to finish, from farm to fork, and all the different elements that come into play. So we don't only look at the carbon footprint, so not only look at the impact on air, water, and soil, but we take it much broader. So what is the impact of our products? So what is the impact of our products on health and performance of the animal? Do we improve feed efficiency? So can we make sure that producers can produce more with less, with a lesser demand of ingredients? So it's not only looking at what we do from a production standpoint, but much wider. What is the impact, the environmental impact of our entire supply chain?
Excellent. Very good. And which stages of your product's life cycle will be included in the assessment, and how are you gathering data across your supply chain?
Yeah, well, so we go from what we call cradle to gate, and we do that specifically for our two production units. We have a plant in Ohio, United States, and another one in Denmark. So we, as I said, we don't only look at that specific impact of what we do because we have an extremely low carbon footprint from our own production. But then we have to take in all the incoming data of the raw materials that we use, the transportation, and so forth, but also what is the impact of our product in the supply chain of our customers. And that then in turn results in a number. Now the number you can interpret in many different ways. So it's very important to look what's the story behind the number. And of course different companies use different entities to verify. So it's not just one number that says, oh, you're very sustainable or not very sustainable. You have to look at the broader picture. A good example, for example, is what we do is we look very much into local sourcing. Like here in Ohio, where we have our factory, we source the majority of a product all from a very close vicinity. So that means a low impact on transportation and a very good management of the supply chain, which leads to a lesser impact on our environment. So it is also something that companies need to look at and make assessments of how they value and let's say rate the different steps in that supply chain. Right. And by using an independent organization that's very renowned like Bureau Veritas has worked in our supply chain before, we like to see how we stack up to others as well. So not only to do that towards our customers, but also internally, how can we improve our processes and take that along as well in any new product development that we undertake.
Right. It's often about progress, right? Like creating that benchmark and then making progress in the right direction, right?
Yes, but the driver for that progress should not be like, oh, look at us, we have a nice shiny number.
Right.
So I think we moved away as an industry from what is referenced to as greenwashing. And there's an intrinsic belief within Hamlet Protein that we like to drive health and performance of animals in a sustainable manner. So that's how we create the product, how we get it to our customers, and what is the impact of our products on the product in the product cycle of the animals they feed.
Excellent. Very good. How will the findings of the LCA influence your sustainability strategy going forward?
Well, of course, we can further fine-tune the direction of the measures that we will be taking. It gives us a lot of additional information beyond what we already know. But as I said, sustainability is as of such ingrained in our strategy. Our shareholders work with science-based targets and have already very early on motivated all their portfolio companies to hop on board. So we work on different elements and we continuously work, and that's what we do as well as a company, is to drive efficiency. We drive health to nutrition by increasing performance across the life cycle of the animal, and that has a sustainability impact as well. We have, for example, invested a lot of time and effort in studying the digestion, the speed of digestion of our product in the animal, and found that in a more efficient digestion also results in a better performance of the animal and less excretion in the environment. So we need to look at it holistically. So we go well beyond the impact of just our own production environment, right, and look at all elements in the supply chain. And we will adjust accordingly. And of course, we will follow what the market is dictating us as well. So there's one thing, our inner belief that we should work on improving sustainability, but there's regulation, and the regulation varies across regions, across federations. Europe is a front runner in green regulation, but also comes with certain complications. So there's a constant interaction needed across the supply chain, and hence we participate in a lot of different industry forums. And for me, coming to the World Pork Expo is also very important to understand how customers in the US see this.
Right. Excellent. How do you plan to communicate the results of the LCA to your stakeholders, and what level of transparency can customers expect?
We've been always very transparent. You know, Hamlet Protein is fully dedicated to being the best in solutions for young animal nutrition, and hence we've always invested a lot of time, money, and resources in research, and we've always been sharing that, because one of our key values we have is value through knowledge, and we believe that by sharing knowledge we create value for our customers, and in return you create value for Hamlet Protein. So every stakeholder in that chain will have a different demand for the kind of information that they want. So we will carefully adjust that and present that to satisfy the needs of our customers. And there will be ones that will want to go much deeper. There's other ones that will have a, let's say, a more governance need to come up with a certain number. But we will definitely work with the different stakeholders to make sure that we communicate on this in a transparent manner, so that we also help others in the supply chain to improve on how they can positively impact sustainability measures.
Yeah, that idea that knowledge is power, right? The more people know, the better they can work with your data and their own data, right?
Exactly, and that's not always common good in our industry, because people are a bit jealous. They want to keep the information to themselves because they think that is helping them to improve. But for us, and also going forward, and you see there's a lot of attention on the environmental impact of the industry that we're active in. So we need to work together to drive these efficiencies to the supply chain, to have a role in the future feeding of the world, and not only from where we are today, but also taking into consideration a shift in mindset and what people find important.
Excellent. Very good. And our last question, beyond the LCA, what other concrete steps are you taking to reduce your environmental footprint, and how do these efforts align with broader industry or regulatory trends?
Well, it's always a bit chicken and egg. What comes first? Is it industry initiatives or is it government? Usually the government regulation follows the demand from the consumer. And we operate around the world. So as you will understand, the need to address this is different in the US than it is in Europe and in Asia and Africa. So we, as we said, intrinsically drive sustainability through our supply chain. That will not change. But we also have to comply with regulations. So there's stringent regulation on the use of sustainable soy, driven by the European Union in different green policies. We see increased demand to minimize the use of medication, which we address through natural solutions. We see demand in the Nordics, Europe, to be much more specific on LCA numbers. So it varies, and you usually see that I think on the environmental part, there's a bit of a stronger regulatory drive in Europe. But what we learn in Europe, we share across the geographies that we attend, and we see that others will follow suit there as well.
Very good. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for all the information today, Erik. This was really insightful.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much. This is Sarah Mikesell with the Pig Site.